All right, guys, we are live here. I'm here with Pith, and man, it has been a ride. We are in for a ride because Tomb Forks. You know how much I love Tomb Forks. I love Tomb Forks. Tomb Forks made me so much money in the last bull run. Tomb Forks, I keep trying to explain to people, fight, and this is what people don't understand. They're buying meme coins and they're all excited and they're, oh, I made 2x, I made 5x. Listen, if you understand a Tomb Fork, you can make 100x and still get paid on it daily, and you can just print money for a very long period of time. It's the number 1 million. I called it the millionaire maker, and you have done something that I can't believe. You brought back a couple of tokens that have been dead for a long time, just absolutely dead, just in the grave, deep in the grave. And you brought these Tomb Forks back. You've kind of single-handedly bringing DeFi back. So just explain to us what is going on, because everyone is so confused. And I'm actually going to show everyone this chart from Deck Screener about everything while you talk. Go ahead, man.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for asking. So Tomb Forks, which were, again, I don't think people really understood it, but the real magic, the real power behind Tomb Forks was the fact that they were a 2-instrument system, which is similar to the way banks were historically before the Federal Reserve. And it's kind of like a surrogate for that system, not the same thing, right? But the fact of the matter is a lot of the ways that those banks could work functionally back in the day can be replicated with like a Tomb Fork infrastructure. So the one problem is that, well, actually there's a few problems, but the first one is that nobody running a Tomb Fork understood this besides me. That was a big problem, right? I was trying to explain it to people, a lot of work there. And then 2, the debt was not getting managed effectively. And the thing is, Tomb Forks don't really come with a default debt management system. Like if they issue too many notes, nobody's going to really redeem those notes for anything because they don't really have like a debt reclassification system. They don't have a way to make the token go up in value. There's really economically 2 things wrong with them. There is not enough demand for the PEG token, and there's too much supply. So it's classic Econ 101 supply and demand. Too much supply, no demand. So the only thing you need to do to fix them economically, increase demand, decrease supply. As long as you build something that increases demand and decreases supply, it will climb back up.
Well, I mean that's for everything. The problem the Tomb Forks were having was, so the share token would pump like crazy because they were printing. So guys, the way a Tomb Fork works is there's a share token and a PEG token, for those of you that don't remember or need a little education. And then the share token you put in the boardroom, you stake it, and then it prints you this PEG token, which is pegged to another token that basically just gets minted while you're above PEG. That's it. Very simple. While let's say Phantom is at $1, as long as the PEG token is at $1.01, more of it gets made. So what you're saying is true, but the problem is once you inflate something too much, it starts to go down. There's nothing you can do about it. And there was no, I mean, projects like Wine and like Wine Finance and Grape Finance would have ways to get the inflation out of the system, but it was never enough. What have you done here that you believe is a better management system? That's really what it comes down to.
Gotcha. Yeah, a lot of Tomb Forks did have those implementations, and I remember Wine had that game that was burning the token, which was correct. Yeah. Yes. The key difference here is you want the token to go down in supply based on what the user base is already doing. So like something that the user base is already doing, can you convince them to be the ones burning it? Because they're the ones that are also printing it. Does that make sense? Like they're the ones that are printing it. So right. A lot of projects also tried buyback and burn. You might have remembered a DEX called Redemption. Well, buyback and burn doesn't really do anything to increase the demand. It's like the owner operator is basically taking a shovel of his own token, throwing it into a furnace, and then turning around and expecting everyone to applaud his altruism. But that's not really how economics works. Does that make sense? You want the users to be doing it, right? So gas tokens like FTM or like AVAX or even Ethereum, they actually burn when they get used as gas. So people don't realize this, but AVAX burns 100% in gas. ETH burns at 100% in gas. I think Phantom burns like 10% in gas now. But the fact of the matter is, it's through this alternative use case, it in fact begins contracting its supply, making it more scarce. So there needs to be an alternative use case designed for the PEG tokens that would in fact contract them in supply, meaning them make them more scarce. And that's the way that you're going to make them go up in value. That's the whole idea.
So when you say you need another use case, what is the use case that that PyreSwap? Do you want me to share my PyreSwap? What you guys are doing there, or do you just want to talk about it first?
We can go to the that page if you want, because I can point out for 2-ohm, 3-ohm, and Z-ohm.
Well, this is all the tokens that are in the ecosystem, just for everyone to see. There's quite a lot. Like, this is very ambitious. There's DIBS Money. There's 2-ohm. There's 3-ohm. There's Z-ohm. These are the share tokens. There's frozen tomb tokens. I mean, a lot of them went up. I know that it says 24 hours is down, but a lot of these have gone up over 100%, if not more.
Over 2 days ago.
Like 2 days ago. So they just had their Genesis guys. These pump, like, going down 20% after you went up 100 or 200% is not bad. Like, this is actually bullish and very, very stable, because you should go down and up. It's normal. And you're going to explain why you're expecting those things. But you can explain why the way you think it's going to go up and down, like this is going to be kind of the norm.
100%. Yeah. So generally speaking, the way to make the way to make what I call terminal utility actually work is you have to create an upside to red candles. Does that make sense? Because in a tomb fork, you're above peg and everything's great. Then you're below peg and suddenly the world is about to collapse.
Correct.
So you have to have this alternative scenario where a decrease in the price of that token has a potential upside. So we created another use case for them, right? Because like you can think about like Bitcoin or whatever, or like a gas token. When it goes down in price, the upside is that gas is cheap. Yeah, like transactions are not expensive when the gas goes down in price. Now, you might not feel that too much, but that does mean there is an upside. So we have to do the same thing for tokens that are not gas tokens, which again, I don't know if Web3's done too much of this type of thinking, but that's exactly how it works. If you go to pyreswap.finance, we can actually pull up the screen.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we can pull up the screen where I can show you the use cases for the PEG tokens.
This is the beautiful DEX that you have made. Some people have said it gives them brain hemorrhages.
Because of the fonts?
Because of the fonts, yes. A couple of people in my group have said that they've had seizures after watching all this.
I believe that, yeah. Just tell them to bite a spoon, I think. That's the right move. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Someone said something very interesting. Look at this. Finally, project leader who understands basic economics and mechanism. So
and even past the basics.
So Flawless, I would just like to tell you something interesting with all the conversations I've had with Fife probably in the last few weeks. We've literally sat here on a chat like this, just not live, and we've talked for hours about economics and about how it works and how the monetary system works. And I thought I knew a lot about economics and about the monetary system. I thought I knew a ton, and I would be right to say I know more than 99% of most people, 99.9, but Fife knows more than me. He actually made me think about the economic system very differently. He said something really interesting. He said the Seigniorage projects, which is what these are Seigniorage projects, are basically pre-gold standard, right? No, hold on, right? That's what
the free banking era. The free banking era.
So this would have been what?
The 19th century, yeah.
19th century. So this would have been earlier, and that these Seigniorage projects was how the banking system worked. So the banking system and tomb forks are interconnected from the past, and they brought the tomb forks back that people are trying to perfect, but have a lot of problems. But let me ask you this. If these Seigniorage projects is how they used to work in the past, how did the pound or the dollar keep their value in the past? Like, because in the past, they were keeping their value relatively well compared to today.
Yes. So what a great question. So there have been, the 19th century also had a whole bunch of banking problems too. Let's just start with that. There's a whole bunch of banking problems. The problem with history is that history focuses on all the things that went wrong as opposed to the things that went right. Does that make sense? So if you go and you look at the 19th century of banking, there is a lot of disaster out there. So you have to really learn how to sift through, like, okay, what were the banks in that era that were performing well? Like, what were they doing correctly? And what were they doing differently than the banks that were collapsing, right? Because the banks that were collapsing, those are the ones that are famous, right? Silicon Valley Bank, household name, right? Lehman Brothers, household name. There's hundreds of banks no one can name, though, right? So you have to research the banks that that didn't make headlines back then. Does that make sense? Those are the banks.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
I got you now.
Yeah. What were the banks that were like nobody was watching? How are they doing it? And that is kind of the secret. So like that's basically the idea, and it has to do with, again, like risk management and debt management. And the way that banks work now is not too dissimilar. They still have this kind of idea of solvency, and they have an idea of net interest income. So they always have to have a certain amount lended out that they are making profit on, because the frequency with which depositors need access to their money is lower than the total amount of money available. And this gets into calculus and stuff, and I don't want to get into calculus on an AMA, not at least like a live one, right? But yeah, it's just that general idea, and it's difficult. It's so hard. But what people don't realize is that blockchains actually can make it a lot easier. In fact, they can make it automatic. That is really my grand hypothesis, that you can actually make two-instrument banking automatic as long as enough of the user base understands the idea. That's really the big bet I'm making.
So, okay. All right. You've laid out, I mean, let me tell you something. You've laid out a beautiful plan here, all of it. Let's look into Pyre Swap, and where do we go? So your box brings up a good point. He said, I'm loving these Genesis pools right now. And the reason he loves them, a lot of people loving them, is because the APRs are really high.
They are.
So what should I go to right now? Where should I go?
Let's start with Mead, actually. MEED. Yep. And if you want, you can switch chain to Phantom, because those are the tokens that are the most famous.
The Phantom.
If you switch to blue chain over in the top right. Sometimes I just call it blue chain, red chain, and yellow chain.
Let's give this I think because I'm sharing, it's hold on, let me.
Did I cover?
Let me do it like this. No. It's sorry. It's just that because I'm sharing, I think it's draining power here. Hold on. I got it. I'll bring it back. One second.
Happens to me too.
1 second. Gotta move some stuff around. Okay. I think we're good now. I'll bring it back. I think because of the sharing thing here, it you know.
I do.
There we go.
Worse. Yep. All right here, you'll see 2 ohm and 3 ohm right there in the UI.
Yes.
Thank you, Flawless. Thank you. Right there, we changed the pegs to make it to a 110-100 ratio because of the situation we acquired them in. But the fact of the matter is, the way this works is this token 2 ohm, before it had no use case at all whatsoever, right? So like it was supposed to be pegged to 1 Phantom, but at the end of the day, Phantom has a use case. It can be used for gas. 2 ohm has no use case, right? In the default infrastructure, there's nothing to do with this token at all, other than pair it in liquidity and deploy it in its own farm for its own share token. So all you can do is like reinvest it. It's like an over leveraged position. That's the way I would describe it. Like it has nothing to balance its economy. So now there is a reason for 2 ohm to be bought. And the reason for 2 ohm to be bought is that you can use it to mead Pyre Phantom, which means when you mead 1 2 ohm for Pyre Phantom, you are in fact burning 1 2 ohm for 1 Pyre Phantom. And this is done at any price of 2 ohm and any price of Pyre Phantom. So if you see right there on the side on the right there, you'll see that 1 2 ohm is 0.1657. And you'll see just below that in the next square, 1 Pyre Phantom. And even below that, in the next square, 1 Pyre Phantom is 0.1457, right? Does that make sense? So if you were to burn 1 to mint 1, you would take a loss right now, right? It's like a loss. Exactly. But this relationship is not always the case. Sometimes Pyre Phantom rallies ahead of 2 ohm, in which case it becomes extremely profitable to be a holder of 2 ohm, because you can burn 2 ohm, mint Pyre Phantom, and then literally immediately sell Pyre Phantom back for 2 ohm. So you'll end up with more 2 ohm than you started, and you're putting buy pressure on 2 ohm.
So when this number 1 Pyre Phantom goes up, let's say it says 0.18, I could take a 2 ohm, send it to Pyre Phantom, and then burn my sell my Pyre Phantom back into 2 ohm and actually get more 2 ohm, correct?
Yes, and you would bring it up in price. Same time.
And then you would burn 2 ohm and increase the price of the 2 ohm.
Exactly. Same
which
time.
is absolutely insane. Okay,
Yeah.
I see the genius here now.
And I don't have to do it. And I don't have to do it because the guys in the chat, these guys are already like power meeting. Like all Saturday, they burn like 4%. So I think Saturday we burned 4% of 2 ohm supply, like in one day. Like, yeah.
Wait,
like
what? 4%?
Yeah, 2 ohm supply has gone down by 4% since we launched 2 days ago.
2 days, but you had already burnt like 5% before that too.
Now we're like maybe at 8 or 9% now total.
8 or 9%. You've already burned the supply.
Yeah, like a lot of it has been burned. Yeah, you don't necessarily see. Yeah, it's a weird curve, but yeah.
So this is what I tell you guys. Yeah, you guys are into meme coins, but if you start to really understand how DeFi and these protocols work, and we're obviously it takes time. Meme coins, there is no time. There's no time investment in meme coins. It's literally like, let me go buy this dog or this cat and blah, blah, blah. But here, there is a time investment you have to make. If you start to understand this, and there's 40 people watching, which is basically this is very impressive that there's even 40 people watching, because in the past with DeFi projects, nobody cared. But the fact that there's as many people watching tells me that they want to learn. They don't want to go into these bullshit meme coins where it's just luck. Here, there is a way of understanding it where you can make a shit ton of money that you just have to have more knowledge than the next guy. And if you do, you can make that money. Am I correct in that assessment?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, exactly. And this is done so that like the opportunities are not always profitable, but they're always going to return to a degree of profitability in the future. Does that make sense? Like, so the way PyreSwap works is that every 6 hours is another way to make money. Like within 6 hours, there's another way to make money. You just got to look where it is. Yes, DeFi is back. How many active players? A few dozen. I'm not counting heads right now. I have a goal that I need to teach a few hundred. Does that make sense? If I can teach a few hundred, everybody will teach each other, and then we will have successfully evolved DeFi to the next step. Thank you so much, Fidel.
It is still very early. This is, like you said, there's only a few dozen players. Once this, keep in mind something. There was 12,000 people at the top of 2 ohm, 3 ohm that were investors or holders in it. If this gets to even 2,000 holders, which would be insane, which is not even that many, this even gets to 2,000 holders, don't think for 1 second most of 2 ohm, 3 ohm, don't think it won't be pegged. It will be pegged, number one.
Oh, yeah.
And it will be a lot higher than what it is today. And it's just about the number of players that it takes. And we call them players because this has basically been a gamified Cineridge project at this point.
Yep, no, 100%. And we do have like a few hundred holders. I don't know how many hundreds, but I'm thinking more about the people who are using the utilities.
Utility of it.
Because farms are not things I invented, right? Genesis Pools didn't invent those. So like people from 2021, they remember those. Rather, my labor in front of me is like teaching people how to make money or use the things that I did invent, right? So
where are you teaching them?
In Discord mostly, or anywhere I am talking about the project effectively. I did some of it.
I put the Discord link in the description of this. So if you want to be taught how to play this game correctly and at a high level, go into the Discord and make sure to fight. Then the rest of the team, I'm sure they can explain to you. And you do AMAs like what, once a week,
six times a week.
6 times a week?
Yeah. I might try to trim it to 4, but probably 6 times a week for the foreseeable
What the hell are you doing 6 times a week for? That's insanity.
I am trying to teach people how to save themselves from literally just getting fucked over by trash projects. I don't know how else to describe it. Like literally, it's like a mission in life type of thing.
6 times a week?
Yeah, Sunday through Friday. Yeah, I did one earlier today and yesterday, and Friday and Saturday actually.
That is insanity.
Yeah. And again, it's just about the education. Like, again, I'm not lying about how this works. I have now been teaching it since February. There are dozens of people in the chat who can prove that it works. So if people are skeptical, they should come to the chat and ask the other people in the chat. There's no way they're all on my payroll, right? Like, there's no way they're all on my payroll, right? Like, ask them to teach you. They'll teach you. Yeah, they want to look smug. Why wouldn't they want to look smug? This is the evolution of DeFi, right? They got there first. Yeah, let them be your guide. But the point being here, you can see that it's not profitable right now. And this is a very interesting thing about 2 ohm and Pyre Phantom, because what Pyre Phantom eventually becomes it becomes the support line for 2 ohm on the price chart. Does that make sense? Because as soon as 2 ohm, let's say if 2 ohm dipped below now, let's say if 2 ohm dipped down to like 0.13, it would immediately get bought up because it can be meter-traged profitably. Yes, so it becomes like a soft support line. And this is how the price chart's going to look, which is what I mean that you will see red candles. But then after the red candles, you see green ones again. Right now, we have Pyre Phantom as a lower one. And Pyre Phantom right now decays, which is part of the way that it can kind of guarantee that it keeps trimming up. But it also gets burned in its own use case, which is the part called active staking, which is in a mechanism called the incantation witch vault, which if you want to, we can go look on the stake page. If you don't want to ask me, hey, does anyone else have any questions about Mead? Anybody?
And it's gonna, and that incantation is gonna happen in 25 minutes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Holy cow. So we're watching it live. Okay, let's go. Where do we go?
Stake.
This is the incantation. You go to stake.
Yeah. So you can see that the next epoch there is right there. It's counting down 25 minutes, 32 seconds, and a bunch of milliseconds, right? And you can see the yield in the one to the right of it. So the APR right now is 10,700. The daily percentage rate is like 29. And the EPR, which means epoch percentage rate, is 7%. So right now there's a 7% yield that's going to get distributed in about 25 minutes. Now, the trick here is that the amount of Pyre Phantom staked, which is in the block directly diagonal, left there, right there, that number in the last minute is going to go up a lot. That's probably
wait. Which one we're talking about? The block where?
Okay, current Pyre Phantom staked, diagonal to the left.
This one.
Yep.
So there's only 6,300 Pyre Phantom stake. It's not very much.
No, it isn't. And actually, it's too much to be staked right now because this is a different mechanism than staking from the past. The real way to play this, the correct way to play this, is you should not stake until like the last few minutes of the epoch, and you should unstake in the first few minutes of the next one. So you only want to be staked for like 2 minutes or less.
Okay, so like when this drops to like 1 minute or 2 minutes, I would stake, and then I would wait for this epoch to go down to 0, and then I would unstake.
Yes, because you would claim and unstake because you'd have rewards. So if you go down, scroll down a little bit.
Okay.
So right there, right there, you can see on the right, that would be like a staking mechanism. This looks very similar to a Tomb Fork boardroom, if you remember. And you can stake, and then you'll be able to, that second button will say claim and unstake. So you claim and unstake all at the same time, and you get everything. And the difference here, though, is that 7% yield, which we saw up at in the EPR field, as more people stake, that's going to get compressed. So you don't actually know what the final yield will be, but it's normally above 1%. It's normally above 1%. So like this still gives like 1% per epoch yield pretty regularly, except it's way more chaotic than a normal boardroom. This is almost like an upside down boardroom, if that makes sense. And the way that this solves the oversupply issue for Pyre Phantom is the incantation witch vault has negative yield associated with it. And what I mean by negative yield is that it smolders all the stakers in front of you when you stake. So right now, if you had Pyre Phantom, you could click down there and stake like a dust amount. Every staking transaction will burn the previous stakers by 0.1%. So like that 6,000, you could wipe out 6 Pyre Phantom every stake. You could just delete it effectively. And they're exposed right now to negative yield. This is why we have a gigantic orange danger label. Like I needed to do something. Hey, this is not what you think it is. This is not what you think it is. And they still ignore me. And there's 6,000 there. It's not that much money, but it's way more than it should be. Yeah, it's way more than there should be.
So this number is going to increase as it comes down, as the numbers come down, and it's basically everyone trying to get in there before the epoch ends.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so you gamified it in a way in which you're burning Pyre Phantom and in which they're getting a yield back also.
Correct.
Now I understand.
Yeah,
okay, I got it.
So we burn to own, and we get the user base to burn it and buy it. And then the user base also burns and buys Pyre Phantom. So the whole
for yield.
Yeah, they're doing it just for their own profit motive, which is what they want in the first place, right? So why can't
Okay. And then the farms people love are paying a huge APY, I assume.
Yes. So the secret that's not a secret is that Pyre Phantom decays every epoch. So every 6 hours, depending on the price, it will just ubiquitously decay, meaning it burns from all places by I think 1.6%. So right now we offer like 9% emission rate. So that's why you have like daily 10% in the farms or daily 3%, like which are really high. This is the one token that can actually sustain that for a really long time, because like it decays and it's also getting bought up and burned by the actual user base. And for those of you who are listening who think that the incantation witch vault sounds scary, the reason we're doing a Genesis is to give you this token for free so you can practice it with. We are giving it to you for free. You can just bring like $5 of phantom Bitcoin, right? Pair it together. You'll get this coin given to you for free, and you can practice it until you understand it. The people that have really spent the time to learn this from me, they all love this shit. They do this every single day. This is their favorite project.
Look at what Yabonk said. He said, I've made a couple $100 or so in the last 2 days since it launched. Couple $100 since it's launched is insane.
Yeah,
because there's not that much liquidity. The liquidity is slowly starting to go up. And the way you guys have to think about it is eventually you can start making, once the liquidity goes up and more players come through, couple $1,000s a day, which is what I used to make on the old Tomb forks, but they weren't sustainable. This could be literally a sustainable way for you to make a few $100s to a few $1,000s every single day once the volume and the players increase. Like this is what I think that's the vision that you've come up with.
100%. And the TVL on the DEX is going up 6 figures every day because of this. So like, yes, liquidity will deepen. We have this on we did the math to the decimal. Yeah, like the liquidity is going up 6 figures every day, like across the DEX, like all 3 chains. So everybody, yes, and do your own research for sure.
Do your own research, man.
Yeah. And I mean, you can watch the other YouTube interviews I did. They're all in the announcements channels, and we do have extremely robust documentation with diagrams if you're one of the types that like to read. But yes, and if you want to do your own research by coming to an AMA, I will answer any question anybody has about how this works. And I guess what I was saying before about the yield is that there are scammy meme coins right now, like doing pre-sales, and like they have no point to this token. And the token right here, Pyre Phantom, is the highest real yield token on the entire Phantom Opera. Pyre AVAX is the highest real yield token on the entire Avalanche C chain. And Pyre BNB is the highest real yield token that is sustainable on Binance Smart Chain. And we are giving it away for free to people who, if they want to, they can just deploy some blue chip liquidity. Does that make sense? Right there in the top. Bitcoin Ethereum or Bitcoin Phantom.
Right. So if you do Bitcoin Ethereum LP, which is like very safe LP, right? You could say.
Yep.
You could be making 600%, which is almost 2% a day on that.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's not bad. That's actually really good. I do have some Bitcoin and ETH, and to LP it here, you get a token that, you know, you can play with the game and you can make thousands of dollars with it. It seems like
100%. And by the way, we are now the #1 Bitcoin liquidity DEX on Phantom. We have the most Bitcoin liquidity out of all DEXs. Yeah, since multi-chain.
Really?
Yeah, that's functional Bitcoin. Yeah.
Yeah, because this was an Axelar Bitcoin, which is
Axelar network. Yeah. So the other Bitcoin's broken. I think it's like $2,000 or something. This one's correctly priced Bitcoin.
What is the the wrapped ETH is also Axelar, or it's no?
I actually don't know. I think it might be layer 0 or something. But like
layer 0.
It's the one that Sushi Swap had. So Sushi Swap kept one intact. I think it's layer 0. I'm not exactly sure on that one, but it's not the multi-chain one. I'll tell you that. Yeah. So all of
and then look at these APRs. These are like 10% a day APRs if you're going to do Pyro Phantom and 3 ohm. So you can take your Pyro Phantom if you don't want to sell it and earn even more yield on it. It looks like.
Yep, 100%. Yep, and we want to really deepen the liquidity of these tokens, because the price chart of them, which is designed to kind of follow this pattern, the deeper the liquidity, like the more beautiful it will look. I kind of think of price charts as like works of art in the right context, and that's kind of what I'm trying to paint here with my tokenomics, if that makes sense. That might be a topic. Yeah.
This is wow, a lot going on.
True story. Yeah.
Honestly, like I don't think it's that hard to understand, because like I know some people might, if you're new to DeFi, it might look confusing, but if you understand a Tomb fork from last bull run, this isn't really that hard. I think you're really looking between the mean, the farm, the stake, and the swap. That's it. And you can provide this liquidity if you want, and you can earn more. I think what Yabonks has said here is actually very true. Definitely do your own research. I spent tons of time learning how to make money in a bunch of different ways. There's a bunch of different ways to make money here. Absolutely correct.
Yeah. And there's really only 3 tokens you need to understand. Like I know there's over 30 tokens in the system, but it's a share token, the share token from a tomb fork, the peg token from a tomb fork, and then what we call the mead token of PyreSwap. So it's really just those 3 relationships, right? So every Web3 investor, they're carrying dozens of tokens from all types of projects and all types of chains. We have dozens of tokens too, but they're all just in the same project. So I don't believe people when they say there's too many tokens. It's like, let me see your DBank. How many tokens are you holding, right? Like, so if you think you can't like deal with 4 tokens at once, I think you're lying, right? The difference here is that these tokens have a relationship with each other. That's explicit and understood.
Interesting. Yeah, and I'm watching the total stake wallets increase, and you're seeing the current, and you're seeing this kind of decrease and increase as it's happening. This is so interesting to watch this game right here.
So if you see the one on the right there, it says 24-hour high low. You see the block that says 24-hour high low on the right.
This one right here.
Yeah, yeah. So you see that it goes up to 30,000 at a certain point, right? So there's a 30,000 Pyre Phantom staked high and a 5,200 staked low. So that high happens in a 2-minute window. It will just, I don't know how to describe that with words. It will just surge and then fucking.
Yeah. Starting to see it right now. Another person staked, and then this number actually didn't even increase because they got burned as he put in tokens.
Yep. They're probably demoing that right now. If somebody wants to, you can stake 1,000 real quick and then unstake it. And you can see that the EPR will depress kind of proportional to the 1,000. Like you'll see that it goes up a little bit, but it's the smaller EPR gets, the harder it is to compress. So like the yield kind of fights against the stakers in its own kind of mathematical way. Just kind of division really. But yeah, I'm really requesting a group of strangers, but somebody might have the guns to do it. Yeah, but yeah.
Well, they're gonna do it in the next few minutes. It's only 14 minutes left. Someone's gonna do it.
Exactly. Yeah. So you'll be able to watch that in real time. And if yeah, we can just watch it here. It's exciting to watch, and the people who are playing, their heart rate is up. Like they're all just like zeroed in, because we call it active staking because it's not passive staking. You can't go to sleep with the stake position. Don't look away from your computer. Yeah. Like don't walk away. Don't take a phone call. Don't do anything other than watch this dashboard. Yeah, you're actively here. You're participating. That's why we call it active staking.
I mean, it's going down. How is it going down, the number?
Because they're either unstaking or they're smoldering the shit out of the guys in front of them.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Or somebody might just be dicking around because it's on a live stream. Yeah.
Whoever's doing it, man, it's fun. I mean, they're probably look, it keeps going down. This is they're unstaking.
So someone's flogging. Yeah, it's called flogging, where you just punish the stakers and you can just stake dust. And somebody's spending, since it's Phantom, they're probably spending like half a penny in gas. They're probably spending half a penny in gas, and they're like wiping $10 of Pyre Phantom out, like from the group.
Oh, I see. And then the EPR is increasing basically.
Yeah, so you can actually flog the witch fault to make yield higher if you're willing to do it. It's a lot of gas. A lot of gas to do it, but if you want to, you can do it. It's a high-risk game, but so is Web3. So I designed this for the Web3 user base. Does that make sense? I'm like, okay, like what is the mindset of these people and the way they like to make money, right? This is a real financial instrument, by the way. Like in theory, this is something that banks could literally turn into paper, right? And it just happens to be a unique financial instruments that, yeah, your bonks is correct. It's a unique financial instrument that is kind of like designed for Web3, the user base, the ecosystem, the economics. It's like we have created a new type of banking in Web3, and it uses active staking to reclassify debt. So the way this works, by the way, is 2-ohm, 3-ohm, and Z-ohm, right? I think of them like as original piles of debt. When they get meted into Pyre Phantom, I think of that as consolidated debt. Does that make sense? And as Pyre Phantom burns off, I think of that as bankruptcy discharge. Does that make sense? Like the debt is being eliminated. Does that make sense? So
all the debt is going into Pyre Phantom, man. And we almost got 50 people watching. So this is getting intense. People are watching this. So as all the debt from 2-ohm, 3-ohm, Z-ohm, all these DIBS, all this goes into Pyre Phantom, or the Pyre network, basically you can call it.
Yep.
And then what happens to this token is it becomes gamified in this. But what happens if you're not able to burn enough of the Pyre Phantom in the future? Let's say it expands exponentially. What happens? What do you do about it?
Well, believe it or not, like the users that are still around, they will actually begin working it off little by little, because let's say it expands and it inflates down to the floor, right? The good news about this is that this yield that we're offering here is actually swap fees from the DEX. So what's interesting about here is that we actually increase the burn rate when the price goes down, because users, they really think about dollar amount. Does that make sense? So
Correct.
if the price of the coin is down in dollars, they'll actually be playing with a larger quantity of them to capture the same yield. Does that make sense? So believe it or not, the burn rate per token is higher at lower prices. So that's another way that the system balances.
Oh, I see what you're saying, because yeah, so guys, understand it like this. If the price of something is $1 and you're burning let's say 10% of it, you're burning 10 cents of it, which is 10%. But if that same project falls to, let's say, 20 cents and you burn, it's a lot easier to burn the same, 10 cents. You basically lower an amount by 50%. So that's what you're saying. You're going to put downward, you're going to put this higher amount of burn pressure on it, basically.
Yeah, because they think of it as cheaper. So they're wanting to lose more of it. And as they lose it, the contraction rate is up technically.
So guys, this is getting really interesting now. We're down to 10 minutes and we've even fallen more under 6,000. So someone is definitely playing the game.
They're doing this on purpose for the clout. They're flogging for clout right now because
they're just messing around. We're down to 10 minutes. We're coming. I mean, God knows what this is going to happen. This is going to be intense in a few minutes.
You'll see it go over 10,000, 15,000 probably. I think, you'll see it triple or quadruple maybe. Supposedly some guy is playing with 17,000 Pyre Phantom every single round. Yes, your bonks flog away. It seems like everybody else is doing it. Yeah, so you might just see that go.
What do you mean? What is he doing with the 17,000?
He's literally just going in there and just like wailing the witch vault. I don't know how else to describe it, but like he is being reckless as shits because he probably has that type of risk appetite. He just goes in there with like 40% of the fucking staked amount and then tries to just rush through it. And this game, by the way, is harder to bot than people realize, because it's not just like repeating this transaction for like a guaranteed amount of yield. The yield is controlled by all the amount of players, and you don't really know how many people you're playing against until the last minute. Does that make sense? So because of that, it's hard. Yeah, it's harder to bot
now. So you can't bot this, is what you're saying.
It's difficult to bot. I expect people to try, but I don't think that like a single bot strategy will continue to work out for them.
So now somebody looks like they staked more Pyre Phantom. It went over 6,100 again.
Yep.
So something is about to brew. This is coming down to 8 minutes now. Holy cow. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I was going to make it.
How long is each epoch?
6 hours. Yep, 6 hours.
Oh my God, this happens 4 times a day?
Yeah, and this is, 4 times a day, 24/7, 365, and it's not a boardroom, right? So you don't actually need to be above peg for this to happen. What happens, I'll tell you what happens when Pyre Phantom goes above peg. You know what happens? It locks the incantation witch vault shut. So the people who are inside, they can no longer get smoldered. And what that normally means is they will begin bottlenecking yield, because all the people who want it, they can't get in anymore. So as long as they're able to keep it above peg, they can basically hoard yield for themselves. It's an extremely difficult part of the game, but it'll probably be the part where people are having heart attacks on Discord. Let's put it that way.
So wait a minute. There's a point in time where you're not going to be able to stake, you're saying, your Pyre?
Unless you're already inside, unless you're already inside, because the new epoch will roll and basically it'll be like locked for the whole epoch. So only people inside get the yield from the next epoch. Yep, your bonks is correct. It goes arcane, and arcane means like understood by a few, if that makes sense. And what that means is like it's reserved for only the people that are crazy enough to stick there. Yeah, because like we basically change the rules of the game, like if it goes above peg. And the reason we do that is because we're pretty sure, like we've designed Pyre Phantom to touch its peg. What we don't want is we don't want Pyre Phantom to go to 2.0. Does that make sense? We actually don't want that.
You're talking about this right here, the price and the TWAP. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, exactly. So Pyre Phantom has a relationship with Phantom as well. So it also seeks Phantom's price, but it just behaves differently than 2-ohm and 3-ohm. So when 2-ohm and 3-ohm go above peg, the share coin goes to the fucking moon because everybody gets prints.
Correct.
Here it reduces the amount of people who can get yield. So it's like, this is an upside down boardroom, upside down tomb fork, if that makes sense. It's just a bit different.
So like when this goes above TWAP, what's going to happen is people that are in it are going to be making money, and people who are not in it are going to can't get in, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And they're going to lose their shit about it. And the thing is, what they'll do is they will now, as a group, try to crash the price of Pyre Phantom, because they'll be like, fuck those guys. I want that yield. Because when you reduce the amount of people who are playing, the yield goes to the roof. Does that make sense? So
how do you fuck those guys?
well, you can actually meet it with 2 ohm and then inflate the shit.
Oh, and then you burn more 2 ohm.
Yeah, so then you can actually leapfrog in order to peg 2 ohm by meeting it. So you
see,
can
look, he put the brain blown. Everyone's brain is blown by what you're saying now.
Yeah. So you can literally it's like meter charge leapfrog. And you can I don't know how to describe it. Alley-oop yourself to peg. I don't know a good word for it. But effectively, you can do that by if 2 ohm can be meted, then you can literally print Pyre Phantom, sell it, and then crash them below peg. That is one strategy.
Wow. So you keep meeting it and you keep burning your 2 ohm, 3 ohm, or whatever token it is, and then you get the Pyre Phantom, and then you start selling the Pyre Phantom, correct?
Yep. And then what will happen is the incantation witch vault will get unlocked, and then everybody will just bum rush it for yield.
Bum rush it for yield, which burns more Pyre Phantom in the end.
Yep.
This is very interesting. We're down to 5 minutes. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. And it'll be we call it if you see down in the bottom of 3 squares right there, you'll see ultimate hour and ultimate moment, right? Just right below you. Yeah. Right now. Right above the orange label, right above the orange danger sign.
Oh, above the orange label. Okay, so where am I looking at?
So those 3 squares right there next to it. So you'll say total stakes in previous epoch. That is the quantity of staking transactions. Does that make sense?
60 people?
That's 60 transactions. So you don't know how many people. It could be 3 people just staking it 20 times, right?
Why did the total stake wallet just fall from 30 something to 3? What the hell happened?
I believe that's probably just a bug because we're in beta testing. Yeah, probably just a bug. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you'll see that there's also the total stakes in the ultimate hour, which is the last hour, and then in the ultimate moment, which is the last 10 minutes. So I think right now that this part of the dashboard is bugged, but the way this works is you kind of see the stampede because you're like, wait, everyone's staking in the last 10 minutes. You'll just see that, like, okay, wait a minute, why is this happening like that? It's it's kind of an indication of the way to play, but I think right now it's bugged. But anyways, yeah, when it works correctly, you see that there's like this kind of curve to the behavior.
All right, we're down to 4 minutes. This is about to get insane, I think. We'll watch this all the way to the last minute to see how much. I don't need to refresh or anything, right? This thing will just update the board as it comes through.
Yeah, I think like every 2 seconds or so.
Every 2 seconds. Wow. So you guys really thought this whole thing out. Like, this is a hell of a little dashboard. I mean, this is a hell of a DEX. And by the way, the volume on the DEX, if you guys haven't noticed, I mean, I've been looking, if you go to like one of these tokens and then you click on PyreSwap, this is insane. Like, you guys already have, just on the Phantom side, not on all the PyreSwap, just on the Phantom side, $70,000 in volume. Total, you're probably well over $100,000 a day in volume.
I think it's like 250 or 300. We were like 500,000, I think, on the first day. Yeah, 500. 200, yes.
Wow. And you earn money on that, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, as an LPer for sure. Yeah, I don't actually have any platform fee right now, but I do earn it as LPer for sure.
What do you mean that there's no platform fee?
We don't have one in the swap fee. So like. The way
you charge a swap fee though, don't you?
Yeah, for sure. But then so do all the other LPers. Does that make sense? So like half of the swap fee goes to the incantation. So like that yield, that 15.96%, which by the way, the yield jumped up because the farm also feeds the incantation right now. During Genesis, we boost the incantation witch vault yield. So you see that it's now 15.6. Yeah, there's a 16% yield in the next 3 minutes. Yeah, 2 minutes 48 seconds.
2 minutes 48 seconds, guys.
And you're gonna watch that 6,000 number. That one right there. You're gonna watch that like double or triple in a minute. Yep, it's gonna happen right here.
It's gonna be wild right now.
Yeah, and it's when you're playing, it's also just exhilarating as shit because you're like sometimes the epoch, right? The first thing that needs to happen is the epoch needs to transpire. So one player needs to click the button and run that as a transaction. So it does cost gas to transpire the epoch. So first, everybody stampedes in, and the epoch needs to transpire. So one player needs to at least transpire the epoch.
Right here, this button right here, right?
Right there, yeah. And then the yield will be distributed, and then everybody's going to stampede out. Yep.
And then what are they going to do with their Pyre Phantom? They're going to stampede out and convert it back to 2 ohm or 3 ohm. Is that what the idea is?
2 ohm, 3 ohm, ZM, or Phantom are most of the
Phantom. So basically, what you could see is, let's keep this in mind. You could see the price of 2 ohm, 3 ohm go way up right after, and then people might then come back into Pyro Phantom. So you could see the spike and then it go down, right? Is
Yeah,
that what?
because yeah, they might want to buy on the bottom for the next epoch, if that makes sense. Because everybody's selling, but at the same time, 6 hours from now, there's another incantation. Does that make sense? So
Yes.
there's always a reason to buy one of these tokens, and that's why red candles don't kill it. If you go all the way to the bottom here, and we might not have enough time because now we only have 90 seconds, but if you go all the way to the bottom, there's another contract there at the bottom. It says approved, and you'll see that it says slippage tolerance right there at 0.5. We put these 4 buttons right there, and we call them max swaps. And what it means is you can swap your entire balance of Pyre Phantom for 2 ohm, 3 ohm, Z ohm, or Phantom. There's 4 buttons there. So however much you're holding, you can literally just like bail out of Pyre Phantom.
You can do it right through here.
Yeah. We have like a bail button, like bail swapping. Yeah, if you approve it.
Oh, so then you just get it and go boom right out of it.
Get the fuck out. Yeah, get the fuck out for real. Yeah, it's intense. Yeah.
Holy shit.
50 seconds, 49 seconds. Now it's time to watch. Yeah. Right there, current Pyre Phantom stake. That will start. I think people love to wait for 30 seconds, but you'll see a few thousand just jump up.
It's 40 seconds, 39, 38, 37. It's going.
And the yield will go down kind of proportionally, but the amount stake will
11,000. Just jumped to 11,000.
Yeah, or that's we're not even there yet.
It's coming. People are probably rushing to hit that button right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's going. And the number of total stake wallets just increased, went to 12,000. You guys only got 10 seconds. You better hurry up.
13,000.
Oh my goodness.
15,000.
Okay, it stopped.
Yeah. And then really, since you're not playing, we're not going to know if it gets distributed. But what you'll see is those numbers go down. Or someone else might charge in. But yeah,
now the numbers are going down.
Yeah, that must mean they got distributed. So now they're going to rush out. And you saw that the EPR changed? Yeah, you see it? Whoosh,
yep.
They left. Yep.
Okay, so interesting. And then let's go look at the price of the charts. How's that?
Please.
So I believe some of these, look at this. Look at the charts. It's all changing. It's going up.
You can look. You can probably take a look at 2 ohm right now, and maybe on the if you go to the 3 ohm Pyre Phantom pair, you might see a couple buys in. Yeah, 37 seconds ago. See $10 buy. Why is it getting bought? 10 seconds ago, right? Who bought it 10 seconds ago? Yep.
So now you're starting to see people buy into it, basically.
Yeah.
Well, this is on Spooky Swap. I'm
sure. It's like
arbitrage.
Yeah, but it is arbitrage. If you go to the Pyre pairs, like try 2 ohm.
Let me go to Pyro pairs right here.
That one or
this one.
Yep. And that one's gonna have 1 minute ago. It had a sell and it had a removal. It might not be deep enough for them to be buying into this one, but I guess this you do see green candles at the end there, so I'm not really sure because you can see at the end of the pattern it has like this little uptick. Yeah.
I mean, overall, this is a bullish chart, anyways. When you're looking at it, like you can see it's kind of found its footing, which is a lot better than it was before.
Yeah, it has real support now. It didn't have support. Yeah.
You created a support for tokens that had no reason to have any support.
Right. Yeah. So it's like this is also our brag point is that we created fundamental analysis in DeFi because now you can see that okay, I know that coin will probably crash to Pyre Phantom, or I know that coin can probably rise up to 2 ohm. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, you can kind of understand what's happening.
See number 8 there? Number 8, 3 ohm Pyre Phantom right there? Yeah.
Yep.
Look at that one. Yeah, I bet that one might have some upticks. Well, you see,
I mean, you can see the buying right there.
Yeah, if you zoom in right there, you can see that. You can see those are the escape trades. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to see people. Yeah. Look at all that buying. That was a ton of buying right there.
Yeah, exactly. $80 is $80. Yeah. So
it's all very interesting when you look at these things. I mean, I've already just from buying this like a week ago already almost doubled my money. And I think now you're looking at Zomb. I bought Zomb, and the reason I bought Zomb, more of it, I should say, is because I looked at the market cap with the liquidity, and I said, "Oh, that's really good." When the market cap is only 73,000, the liquidity is only 30,000.
Yeah,
and there's more liquidity than that on other exchanges, meaning the liquidity and the market cap are very even. I looked at it, and also because I know this game is going to start, I was like, "Oh, this is the one that has the most that can double or triple." Which it's already doubled from when I bought. It probably is going to do even better, I think.
Yeah, and of course, like if Phantom goes to $2, $3, $4, these coins go there too. Yeah,
these coins are gonna just absolutely eviscerate it.
Yeah. So I think some of the spreadsheet simulation shows that some of the share tokens can 100x from here. Actually, like best case scenarios, they can still 100x.
So we got some interesting comments. This one says, "I just made $1.50 sitting in the park listening to jazz." Okay, $1.50 is not bad.
Yeah,
I would say that would be a cup of coffee, but no longer because of inflation.
Not in this decade.
So,
yeah.
I made $11 with 110. I mean, that's
nice.
That's 10%.
Bravo.
That's legit.
Yeah, in a few seconds. In a few seconds. Yeah.
Let's see what that says. Thanks for the $80. I just made an incant on BNB. There you go. $80 is, and you can do that every 6 hours if you know what you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah. So also our Genesis contract, it continues to grow in size day by day. So like the volume of the DEX, even though we kind of tapered down from Saturday because there was Sunday, which is the slowest day. Like in general, our emission rate continues to go higher as far as total token count. So like we will continue to climb the volume charts. Doesn't matter if people disagree with us. We will continue to climb because our mathematics are better.
Yes, I'm thoroughly impressed. Now the big question, do we think that you will be able, let's say, peg any of these back into the boardroom where the tokens are pegged and printing money? So the share tokens could increase, right?
Yeah. We actually saw DIBS in the neighborhood of 0.85 yesterday. So if you go look at
0.85, did you say 0.85?
DIBS went, it's now down to 0.5 or so. But yeah, if you look at DIBS on any chart, go look on DIBS on any chart. Yeah, that one right there.
What does DIBS have to peg to? What number is it?
It pegs to 1/1000th of BNB, so it's like 60 cents. 60 cents.
60 cents.
Yeah, so like
not that far off.
Yeah, so if you saw yesterday, it was already up there in the 50s, 60s. So it was at 0.8, something like that. Right now, it's actually at 71 TWAP. So DIBS right there is 0.71 TWAP right now. Right now, DIBS is at 0.71.
Wow, the volume is crazy. 130,000 on Pyre Swap. Holy cow. Look at this on DIBS on Pyre Swap on. Is this correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, Binance is crazy with volume. Yeah. And the arbitrage bots drive a lot of volume on Binance too. Yeah.
They do. Yeah. So I'm trying to understand this. So this, let's say this hits peg, then what's going to end up happening is this token, the D share token, you would take it and then you would put it into the boardroom.
DIBS.money. Yep. The URL. And then
you would print more DIBS tokens.
Yep. In fact, the boardroom on day one of printing is like 10% yield for DIBS. It's So like right now the UI, what it has is the APR saved from the last print, which was like in 2022 or whatever, and it says that it's like 3% APR, but no, the real APR is like 3,000%, something like that. So it'll print DIBS as soon as it pegs. It was already very close to peg. It did get corrected because it might have been a bit overzealous. And we're not scared of red candles. Like whatever. Like we want to be able to fight for these pegs. Does that make sense? So red candles bring volume too, and this DEX is meant to be like a volume engine, if that makes sense. Because the reason this token is like Pyre Phantom is so good for a DEX is because this is the one token that's a DEX token that isn't designed really to be held long term. It's designed that people would buy it, use it, and then discard it. And all that does is they drive more volume to the DEX because they're chasing yield from the DEX, which comes from volume, and they have to bring the volume in to capture that yield. So volume leverages volume on PyreSwap. Other DEXs don't have that in their design.
So my other question is, let's say 2 ohm, 3 ohm. I brought up the 3 shares token.
They're way bigger than DIBS. Like 2 ohm is so gigantic. Yeah. So it will take longer than it
will take longer than DIBS.
But 2 days. It'll take longer than 2 days to see 0.8 for sure.
Right. But, It's gonna take longer. So like when it hits, this will start earning a yield, which will probably be, like you said, 5, maybe 10% a day. You don't expect these tokens to be in this $5 to $10 range at that point, do you?
No. Yeah, some of them on spreadsheet at least can go 100x from here because the amount of yield that we get. Let's say you assume that they the price of Phantom could make them go into the 4-figure range. Like So they could definitely get into the 3-figure range at today's price of Phantom, right? If the price of Phantom goes into the $1, $2, $3 range, some of the share tokens could go back to the 4-figure price. Yeah, it's possible. Is it going to happen? I don't know. I can't control everything. But on spreadsheet, if we assume that the share tokens will kind of arrive at a price that kind of drives around maybe 2%, 3% yield a day, which is sort of how a lot of Tomb forks were kind of balancing back then. So if we assume that it'll climb back to like a 2%, 3% a day, then yeah, in theory, yeah, the share tokens could go to 3-figure prices and possibly 4-figure prices if Phantom goes to higher prices.
Somebody says, thank you for the $33.
Yep, you bet. Yeah, he meant Claudio meant incantation.
Incantation, yes.
Yep, that's really. By the way, that's real yield. Well, we almost repegged DIBS. Yeah, almost repegged DIBS. It was flirting.
When DIBS does repeg, the DIBS token, the share token, is probably going to be worth a whole lot more. Where is the DIBS token right now?
Right there.
$4.82.
It's definitely been climbing up. If you zoom out, that chart is very bullish.
Oh wow. Yeah, guys, you could have made some serious money on this. I missed out on the DIBS one, but oh my god, it's a 10x. Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, for real. And I honestly I don't know what D share will do. Yeah, it'll be exciting though.
We don't know.
Yeah,
nobody knows.
I know that it'll be at least 5x. Like at least 5x if it pegs. I just don't know if it'll be 50 yet. I don't know. Like I don't know, but it'll be at least 5x.
We don't know. Nobody knows. This is brand new what you've implemented. This is a brand new DeFi system that you have implemented. There is no way to really know where the price discovery on these things could be. 2 shares and 3 shares could go to $100, go to $200, it could go to $500. I mean, if you're paying every day 1 to 2% and the system is working and the game is working, and I'm sure around it you're going to add more layers.
Yeah, we are.
And more burns and more games and more stuff.
Yeah,
I'm sure you're going to build depth around it.
Yeah,
because that's what you do, from what I understand.
I do.
So if you're going to do all of these things, then yes, $100, $200 share tokens is not really that unfathomable at this point.
No, it isn't. And to be clear, in without the Tomb forks having farms, because their farms did elapse a long time ago, they won't be again like 70 epochs in a row above peg. Like they will dip below peg. Do you remember the original Tomb Finance? It would do that all the time. It would be above peg, below peg, below peg. So that will be more of how they behave. But the fact of the matter is when they go below peg, they won't die. That's the real upside. Like, yeah, if they go below peg, they'll come back. Like that's the whole thing we're doing here. Like if we lose peg, you don't need to like run for your life, because you remember seeing Tomb forks when the minute they lost peg at a certain point, people would just wipe everything, like can't touch it again. Yeah. And that would be like the faith was gone.
So basically what you're trying to say is this: the way Tomb Finance was working, where it would go above peg, below peg, above peg, below peg, was kind of the right way of doing it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like Harry Ye kind of had the right idea, but he didn't have the right tools being implemented, right?
Correct. And he still doesn't have the debt management system, in my opinion, but I'm not here to besmirch him. But yeah, he at least was closer to a more balanced approach to the project, whereas a lot of the forks went complete dollar sign eyeballs degen. Yeah, 100%. And they're like, yeah, if that makes sense. Because he acquired it from a guy who was forking it from Basis Cash. Then he brought it to a success. And then when he looked that successful, hundreds of guys were forking him. So I don't think that the guys forking him understood it. They were just trying to imitate what they thought was baller. You know what I mean? And it is what it is. Like, I'm not here to criticize people, but you know, they reaped what they sowed.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to a lot of the Tomb Fork guys back in the day. I interviewed a lot of them. I talked to a lot of them, and you know, from what I can tell, a lot of them, like, and I was kind of the most knowledgeable about these things. I was in these things, and even me, I was kind of like, oh yeah, maybe this guy's got to figure it out, or maybe that guy's got to figure it out. But then I would always go back to, well, what are they going to do about inflation? And I would talk to them about it. And their whole way to battling inflation was, well, the way you battle inflation is, first, a lot of them thought if they had more use cases, which is what great finance tried to do. And the second one was where a couple of the teams were like, it's all about liquidity. If we can get enough liquidity into the system and enough people into the system, then will always be above peg. And that just wasn't the case because Team Finance had the most liquidity and probably stayed the highest the longest because of that reason. But at the end of the day, just look at the US dollar, you start to lose value. Even the biggest system with trillions of dollars running through it, you will still suffer inflation and you will still start to slowly grind to zero. There's no way to stop that, basically.
The way that they try to do it with central banking is they assume that their underlying economy is also going to grow at a certain percentage every year. But if your tomb fork doesn't have an underlying economy, there's nothing to keep pace with. So what PyreSwap does is it provides an underlying economy for tomb forks, a lot of them. That's really the whole idea. So as PyreSwap grows, more and more of that economy can effectively help stabilize the price of the tomb forks. That's how it works.
So with Pyre Phantom, you've kind of turned it around where Pyre Phantom or Pyre, BNB on any of the chains, the Pyre token is helping kind of create kind of a base level for the tomb forks. Is that what's kind of the thought now?
Yeah. And the DEX itself, like literally just the DEX, you could say that, that token is like the stabilizer token or the economy of the three peg coins, as it were. Like it does work that way because it kind of balances them on a balance. But yeah, it is like effectively what their underlying value is, because Tuum has no underlying value except that it can be meted for Pyre Phantom. And in finance language, what that is it's a financial instrument that has an embedded convertibility option, meaning that you can take this instrument and convert it to another instrument. And that is done in like lease to own agreements, like a lease agreement that converts to buying. So basically it's the same idea. So what do you get when you hold 2 ohm? Well, you get 2 ohm. And what is 2 ohm? Well, 2 ohm is an instrument that has an embedded convertibility option to Pyre Phantom. That's all it is. But Pyre Phantom happens to be the highest real yield token on all of Phantom Opera. Does that make sense? So aside from Genesis, the only way you can get Pyre Phantom is through 2 ohm, 3 ohm, or Z ohm. So since Pyre Phantom has that amazing incantation witchfall active staking utility, it therefore drags the value of 2 ohm, 3 ohm, and Z ohm up more and more as they get burned over time.
Got it. And then there's more people that said, hey, I made $23. And what people don't understand is that, yes, you made $23 in 6 hours, which is, if you play this game every day, it's $100 a day. But this will eventually turn probably into $50 a cycle, $100 a cycle. As more people and more players come into this, more people start using this. The people that are early, like these guys, they could see an incredible windfall, because that's kind of what I'm seeing, right? Is that kind of similar?
No, yeah. The guys who were beta testing with us in February and March, like just in the last 2 days, they're like tripling their money with like power meter trust, because they already know all the trick shots. So like there's like advanced stuff for the games I just showed you too, like stuff that you would need to go through the docs. Like it takes like an hour to talk about just all the ways you can play the Incantation Witchfall, and they're already doing those advanced stuff, and they're making money hand over fist right now. Yeah, like incredible. Yeah, I can't even. I'm not going to describe the type of returns they're making just in short-term utilities. Yeah.
Bitcoin continues to be my favorite, but this witch enchantment is very interesting. It is incredibly interesting. And like I said, the people that were early in the last tomb forks, like myself, I made 6 figures in some of these tomb forks, and I can kind of see it here. There's a possibility here. It's a little different. I don't think it's going to be a straight shot up. Like I remember seeing 2 shares going from 150 to 8,000 in like 2 months. I don't think that's going to happen. I think what you could see is like 3 shares go from $5, go to $10 and come down to $7. Go to $12, come down to $10. Go to $15, come down to $10. Go to $20. I think it's going to be this gradual step up where it could go to $50 all of a sudden over time. But it'll drop down, it'll go up, drop down, go up. And then people will flood into these systems because they'll see what's happening. And there'll just be this wave where it maybe jumps up into the 3 figures, but then it'll always come down a little bit. It'll be a little bit more choppy.
100%. Yeah. And we actually call that parasailing. Right now with Genesis, a lot of the Pyre coins, they started off high, but they start tapering down. And I told people, we actually are fine with this. What we want is rightward price chart moving. We just want volume and speed, because effectively, as soon as it kind of gets volume and speed, the token starts taking off again. Does that make sense? It's like flying a kite. If that makes sense, it is the exact same math of flying a kite, but on a token. And you're completely correct that there will be ups and downs all the way, and it is more of a rightward climb. It's not like a fucking pump. Granted, when TWAPs get like above when TWAPs get above 0.9, I think a bunch of people like ape in, so you might see those fucking pumps. Again, the gas tokens that these are under, like the underlying gas tokens, when they pump, they also can cause pumps here too. So you will see those pumps as well, you know, as we move into crypto summer, as it's called. So that will also be beneficial here. But yeah, we have like a fundamental underlying economy for this project. And when I designed it, it was meant to be the #1 mega DApp for crypto winter, like the #1 DApp economy for crypto winter, because the percentages I'm talking about, they're still correct in winter. Maybe there's not as much dollars behind it, but the same amount of percent profit is there. So the whole idea is that this is a crypto economy inside the crypto economy, because we don't focus on the dollar value of our tokens. We focus on the TWAP. So one Phantom is always worth one Phantom, whether that's 18 cents or whether that's $18. Does that make sense? So like that TWAP, like we just track it, whatever it is proportionally. So a lot of the crypto economy, they either use stable coins or the gas tokens as liquidity. Does that make sense? Right?
Absolutely.
These are those two. But they only ever do the dollar as their numeraire, meaning their reference instrument. Does that make sense? So when we talk about crypto summer with Bitcoin, we just mean how many dollars Bitcoin is worth. Does that make sense? None of the tokens in the GPSE care about the dollar. They only care about the gas token and how they compare to the gas token. So when the gas token changes in price, the GPSE doesn't really care. It's like we only view that as one Phantom. We only view that as one AVAX. So if it's $9.90 or if it's 18 cents or 1800, it's just like this is always an economy, and like there's always profitability, there's always opportunity. I can't wait for next crypto winter, which I know is kind of weird to say, but you'll find out what trash is in crypto winter, and I can't wait, because this project will make the most gains in market cap during next crypto winter, because everything else will be struggling and this thing will just keep trucking through.
Oh, that's an interesting concept,
So
but
we'll
I think your biggest gains are about to come in the next few months, to be completely honest with you, because that's where the liquidity is going to be the highest.
Yes.
And from what I see, liquidity is going to drive the shit out of this.
Yep, 100%. And I do mean you're correct there, but when I mean gains, I mean like gains in market cap, like us passing other projects. Does that make sense? Because I think a lot of other projects, they don't have anything going on in winter, whereas we will continue to have something going on in winter.
Right.
The prices might be a lot lower for sure, but we will be passing a lot of projects that are weaker than ours, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
And therefore the summer after this, we could be top 100 market caps. Let's put it that way.
So, wow.
It's not impossible.
It's not impossible. I mean, you're talking 3-4 years down the road, but it's not impossible. Your Boxman, interesting comment. If you set an alarm for 5 minutes before each epoch, you can make that again and again with only a couple minutes of work. It's very true.
Yep, 100%.
LOL, it's completely different. There's long-term utility for TWAP tokens. Yes, he's created that. And I'm going to ask you another interesting question, because a lot of this is based on Phantom. Where do we see Phantom going in this bull cycle? Do we see it going back to $2-3?
Why not? Yeah.
So?
Yeah, because
Tomb Finance, in my opinion, really helped. And all the Tomb forks, including 2 on 3 on, really helped create that buying pressure on Phantom last time to take it to the $2-3 zone.
Yep.
I don't see those coming back, so they don't have that buying pressure on it. Phantom doesn't have that buying pressure on it.
It also, multi-chain really hamstrung the Phantom TVL for sure.
That's right.
I don't have, I think it will still do well. And you're completely correct that Phantom is a true DeFi chain, which is why we're building this project on Phantom. I still like Phantom. I still think it could absolutely hit those prices, especially if the Phantom Foundation is going to draw hype with Phantom being exchangeable for that second chain. I don't think that second chain will really outpace Phantom, because I think Phantom already has this history in this community. Does that make sense? I think that, but the point being is, this project by itself is economically robust enough that it can completely fulfill a blockchain's use case. Does that make sense? Like,
big enough.
Building a blockchain is an engineering problem, but fulfilling a blockchain's use case is an economics problem. So what this project does by itself is like, okay, now there's always a reason to use Phantom forever. Does that make sense? Like for foreseeable future. In theory, there's always now a use case for Phantom, the gas token, and the Phantom ledger. Will there also be other chains? Yes. arguably as many chains as we can fit into it, but we're going to start with these three. Later, after Genesis for sure, like maybe later in 2024, we'll add more chains.
Impressive. Now there's a few more things I want to just cover with you guys. From the conversations I've had with Fife, he's called himself the best banker in Web3. I think that might be some truth to that.
Yeah, prove me wrong. Just I'm waiting for that guy to show up, because if I could have found that guy, I would have just worked with him. Yeah, I'd look for that guy.
Well, I think taking on this many tomb forks and helping so many come back is absolutely, I mean, you're a fucking hero, man. Like a lot of these things were done. They were done. They're dead. They were gone. Nobody could figure it out. The fact you've done this is absolutely, well, you've taken this on, and I'm sure it's cost you money. I mean, it's not like this was free. It cost you money and time to do this. So it's just super impressive, man.
Thank you. No, thank you so much to say that. And yeah.
How's potential?
I ruined my life to make this. To be clear.
You ruined your life to make this happen.
Yeah. That's what
you have. We've been talking for months.
Yeah,
we've been talking a long time.
It's been grueling, but I think now we're gonna win. Yeah, we're gonna win.
So the few more comments and we'll get out of here. It has potential to be the #1 volume generator on Phantom.
This is true.
I agree with that. I think this does, because meme coins, they generate volume temporarily and then they die. It's just off and on. It's not really.
There isn't a meme, yeah. And the thing is, like, you're not gonna like out meme the meme chains. You know what I mean? Like, I think that, I don't know if you've noticed this, but certain chains, like, they have their own personalities. Like, it's kind of weird to see that, but like the people who like those chains, they have their own personalities. And I don't know why we think that the Phantom Opera's personality is like a meme coin personality community. Like, it's just not. No. Yeah.
It's a DeFi. It's a DeFi.
Couldn't agree more. So like, I think that I'm seeing a lot of people try to push this meme narrative, and I'm like, stop trying to be Solana, like the confetti trash chain. Like, just let that be the landfill of the fucking, does that make sense? Like, let them do that with that. Like, I don't have a problem with that. Like, it's nice that they have a place to go, but like meme tokens, they're just, that is not okay. A meme token is just not a vehicle of economic and financial revolution, which is what this whole technology is supposed to be, right? Like, if we're really talking about reinventing finance and economics and banking, I guarantee you it's not a token named fucking like cunt with hat or some shit like that, right? No, exactly. Like, I mean, that's great that you can make a price chart go up and down, but you could do that with tulips in the 16th century, right? You could do that with Beanie Babies in the 90s, right? You could do that with toilet paper during COVID. Does that make sense? Yeah, like I'm not going to keep talking shit about other projects. I wish them all the best. I just want people to know there's a higher potential of power that this technology can be applied to. Something that actually helps people and changes their lives. It's not impossible.
And as this thing does well, you're going to continue to build around it. Like I was saying, we've talked a little bit about the future roadmap. As you build around it, this system becomes more sustainable over time.
Yep, and grows, and we add more chains, and we deepen the liquidity of all the things. We deepen the market cap of all the coins. Yeah, like so. Like I said, we might not see 4-figure share tokens this year, but like in the future, we'll definitely get them to 4 figures again. Yeah, I
4 figures. Yeah. Wow, it's a possibility. I mean, who knows what you're adding around it? We don't know what's going to be built. At some point, when the tokens also go very high, you can start selling it as the team. I'm sure you own quite a bit of it, and as a team, you can help fund more development. It's the cycle that just continues.
100%. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it allows. The tokens, even as they print, there's other things to do with them besides sell them. So like I explained before, when we were building this, people used to get prints from tomb forks, and effectively the print was in a shit coin, because the coin they were getting as a print, the only thing to do with that token is sell it, right? So like now you're getting a print and the coin is not a shit coin. So do you see how that makes sense? So you actually reduce sell pressure from prints as well, because if there's something to do with that token besides sell it, maybe that'll happen to it instead. And the thing is, like, nobody understood that, like, oh, hey, if you make this token not a shitcoin, you can actually direct it away from just being dumped every single epoch. Flawless, that has been recommended. And that is something that I've thought about. So, like, if I repeg 2 and 3 I will probably write them a proposal. Yeah.
Harry Ye will unfortunately not give you that.
Well, here's what I know. Okay. I know that on his website, he brags about LIF3 and he doesn't mention Tomb at all. So I think he might be trying to get rid of it. It's
that would be a power play.
My hypothesis, but yeah, we could acquire the chain too. Like, like I don't know how that works, but yeah, I'm open to it. But I think I should prove my concept first with 2 ohm and 3 ohm. You know what I mean? Let me eat it in bites, I guess. But yeah, no, if we can repeg 2 ohm and 3 ohm, we can repeg 2
Is he still a holder in 2 ohm or the 2 shares and 3 shares? Do you know?
I have no idea. Yeah, I don't even track. It's okay if he is. I doubt he is. Because
I don't know. He might be. He owned thousands of it. Can anyone? I don't know if there's any guys from the old days of 2 ohm, 3 ohm around here still. If anyone can find his old wallets, advises, send me a DM or fight the DM. It would be really interesting to know.
Yeah, they'll bring it up in the Discord for sure.
I'm gonna go on the leg and say he's probably still a holder of 2 ohm 2 shares and 3 shares.
Well, then he's about to make a lot of money.
Because I looked at the wallet. I looked at the wallet breakdown. There's a lot of wallets in there still own quite a bit. So yeah. And they're old wallets. So I don't think he was able to get out. I don't think the liquidity was there for him to get out at some point.
I can't say. Yeah, I didn't own the project back then either. So the state that I acquired it in was interesting. Let's put it that way.
Harry Ye, if you guys don't remember from the last bull cycle, he would stake all of his 3 shares and 2 shares in the boardroom, and he would just print hundreds of thousands of dollars a day in 2 ohm and 3 ohm, and he would dump it to peg to finance. It was absolutely fucking insane and brilliant at the same time, but he was basically wrecking 2 projects at the same time. He was trying to figure out how to peg one, but he thought that's the best way of doing it, but it was crazy. Imagine making hundreds of thousands of dollars a day and just pumping all the money over here. He could have just taken that money for himself. So I'll give him props. He tried.
Right. Yeah, indeed. He was definitely creative. Let's put it that way. But I look at, I think the key difference between me and Harry Ye is that Harry Ye is like a hedge fund guy, which is in finance. They're focused a lot on alpha performance, which is like portfolio performance. But right. I think more like a traditional banker when I think of like as an instrumentation, and that means beta performance, meaning like the instrument's performance. So I think about how do I repair the instrument's performance, not how I get my own ROI. Does that make sense? Because alpha and beta are 2 different things, right? Beta is what you see on a price chart. Alpha is what happens to your position because of that price chart, right? So I think of beta as the tree and alpha is the apple. So I think that because me and him have these 2 different backgrounds, he doesn't really understand the way to fix them the way that I do, because he thinks about alpha and not like beta. These are finance Greeks. Yeah. Sorry if I'm speaking gibberish, but yeah, these are the financial Greeks, and alpha and beta are related, but they're not the same thing. And beta is often a honeypot in Web3 because that's how they get people to look at meme coins. Like, wow, this one's 7,000% in 2 hours. And they're just like botting it. They're just like tricking you. But people think like, wow, if I could only scrape away a few 100%, that few 100% they're trying to scrape away, that's alpha. But the 7,000% on the price chart, that's beta. So like when we think about how do we fix the tokens, you have to think about beta and not alpha. You have to think about like what is going to make the price chart climb, not what's going to make your own pocket climb. You have to think more about like fixing the car as if it's not you, like fixing a car that's not yours. Maybe that's a good allegory.
Okay.
Yeah, I would recommend watching all the videos about this, and if you can, read the docs. And you should also come to the PyreSwap Discord, where we do 6 AMAs a week, and you can also just ask people in the chat to explain things, and they will because they're all thrilled about it. And yeah, like that's what I recommend. Like there's lots of stuff in the docs or lots of stuff in the chat that people will just tell you about, and they'll teach it to you. Yeah, they are ready to teach. They feel good about the system. So I'll teach it as well. I spend so much time teaching it, and I'm going to keep teaching it for all of Genesis. So that's what I would recommend. Just come to the Discord. You can follow the Twitter, but we can't really do tutorials on Twitter. So Discord is a good platform because I can screen share as I'm doing it, and I can do that on YouTube as well. Yeah, I can do that on YouTube as well. But like, I just encourage you to come to the AMAs and watch it on screen share. And we will be uploading a screen share YouTube one today on. We'll announce it, so you can just watch those, and you'll be able to watch us. You can watch me play the incantation with like $2. You can watch me play it manually. My mouse on my screen is super large. It's like the size of a golf ball. You're not going to miss what I'm clicking on. Yeah.
I'm just impressed that we had so many people watch this stream this whole time. We've been over 40 this whole time and 50 a couple times.
Fantastic.
During this bear market, and now we're going kind of more a bull market, but DeFi's kind of been dead. Generally, I thought we'd only get, and I know people will watch it later, but I only thought we'd get like 20 or 30 people max. So the fact that we've got this many people just shows like people are excited about your project. So congratulations to you. I'm obviously in your project. I've been in it for a while. We're going to start playing it. And I mean, let's see what happens here. This is one of the most exciting things in DeFi.
Let's fucking go.
I think that like this comment, very appreciative. I think everyone appreciates you, your team. Let's get DeFi back, man.
Let's bring DeFi back. Let's make DeFi great again, right?
Let's make DeFi great again. We got to get a hat. Let's make DeFi great again.
For sure.
And exactly what DeFi is about. And buy Lambos and stuff.
7 Lambos for everyone. 7 Lambos.
Different
7
colors
Lambos.
for every day of the week.
Exactly.
It's just the beginning. It is. It is. When? Oh, God.
Now. 5 hours and 40 minutes. 5 hours.
Lambo.
Yeah, incantation. 5 hours and 40 minutes from now. Get in position. Yeah. The
When in Lambos.
Yeah.
We want to see your Discord just say Lambos and when. Lambos and when.
I'm sure they're spamming that right now, right in general chat. Yeah.
Everyone should just start spamming every day. Lambos and when.
Fantastic.
All right, Five. Thank you for coming on. We'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Take care, everyone.